The 90s have ended. The party is over. The age of the slick venture CEO casually manipulating the stock market while skulking Nosferatu trade information on the hidden ShrekNet has come to a violent end, as Vatican Black Ops task forces and coordinated military drone strikes rain holy vengeance on the plague of evil that the Kindred have brought upon mankind. You broke the Masquerade one too many times, and now there's hell to pay. Are you prepared to ditch your cell phone and all modern forms of communication? Are you ready to betray your friends, turn your back on your old coterie, and swear away your soul to the new Camarilla on the eve of the apocalypse? If so, you might just survive. I'm Yung Steve Buscemi, and welcome to the Blackledge Games review of the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition sourcebook, Camarilla. This book provides an overview and exploration of the newly changed world of darkness. Since Vampire the Masquerade was published in the last decade of the 20th century, the world has changed so much that the underlying assumptions of the game had to be reevaluated in light of the new technological reality we now find ourselves in. Mark Reinhagen couldn't have predicted the ubiquity of cell phones and surveillance cameras, the extent to which governments would monitor the internet and telecommunications, and consequently, neither could the elder vampires who populate this twisted world. The organization known as the Camarilla has functioned as the backbone of vampiric society for more than 5 centuries. It was created as a response to the fires of the First Inquisition, a holy crusade against vampires started by the Catholic Church. For half a millennia, vampires lived in the shadows and faded into myth, protected by the traditions of the Masquerade. In recent years, however, seismic shifts in information technology unexpectedly peeled away the curtain of the Masquerade and pulled these unliving myths back into the consciousness of mankind. Organizations like the Catholic Church, the NSA, FBI, and Mossad, as well as Silicon Valley megacorporations, have quickly become aware of the global conspiracy of the Camarilla and its influence over all aspects of mortal life. Government agencies and secret religious organizations wasted no time in bringing hellfire to these unholy monsters. As a result, the Camarilla has been forced to become even more draconian in its demands of the Kindred, and this book outlines those changes for old and new players alike. If you thought your prince was harsh before, you have no idea how bad things have become now. Presented as a series of in-world documents collated by some dumb bitch named Victoria Ash, Camarilla provides both players and GMs alike with the resources they will need to navigate the modern world of darkness. What this book will impress upon the player is that the Camarilla is not a club open to just any newly embraced fledgling. You have to prove that you are cunning, merciless, and most importantly, loyal. Being embraced in a Camarilla domain means that you are responsible for abiding by all of its laws, but until you've proven yourself worthy, you enjoy none of the benefits or protection. This is why the book is written from the perspective of the child of Victoria Ash, receiving this induction decades after their embrace. They have struggled and scraped and proven that they can not only survive but thrive in these final nights. They will be an excellent resource in both enforcing the Masquerade and confounding the Inquisition. Like the in-world recipient of this document, this book is filled with advice and inspiration on how to navigate the bloody waters of Kindred society, but is not a step-by-step rote instruction manual that can be mindlessly followed. This book does not contain new core mechanics, nor is it intended to be a drop-in chronicle with NPCs and factions that you can place into your game. This is a book for role players. It is a supplement intended to help you immerse yourself in the world of the game from the perspective of the character. The rules that you will find inside this book are not game mechanics, but the implicit and explicit laws that govern your character's unlife as a member of the Camarilla. Among the most crucial lessons that you will learn is that everyone must pull their weight. To that end, you may no longer be in a position to choose which coterie you're a part of. This is not a social club. You will be assigned a coterie with an explicit job to do, be it to patrol the Camarilla borders, guard the haven of a powerful elder, or to keep watch on prospective kindred not yet deemed worthy of membership. Like all totalitarian governments, you will also be watched in turn. The watchers will be watched. Like the KGB, the Camarilla sees itself as a circle of accountability. Within every coterie, there is a shadow, a member who secretly monitors the loyalty and effectiveness of the group. This position may be filled by your character or another person at the table. You will not know who you can trust, only that the Camarilla will know everything about you. The Shadow, in turn, is responsible for the success or failure of their charges. This is not a position that implies prominence, but it has grave responsibilities. I'm beholden to your success, and your success is beholden to mine. Either we all fall, or we all rise. This is especially important now that the modern Camarilla can no longer deny the existence of the antediluvians. In light of the rise of ancient blood gods, the Camarilla cannot afford disunity. They are surrounded on all sides by clandestine mortal organizations, as well as the terrifying prospect of apocalyptic prophecy being made real. In light of this living prophecy, new religions and cults have emerged in the Camarilla. Young kindred stand in awe of ancient Methuselahs whose power is beyond their imagining. Many of their sires have been lost to the call of the beckoning, leaving domains and positions of power empty that were once held by the same person for decades or even centuries. This has added a completely new flavor to the Camarilla in the form of recognized and sanctioned faiths. Once only the domain of the Sabbat, the Camarilla finally have something to believe in, terrifying and evil though it may be. There are none who faced the rise of this dire prophecy more keenly than the Banu Hakim, or as fans of the previous editions may know them, the Assamites. The ancient and terrible Methuselah Urshulgi has awoken from his torpor and has single-handedly claimed the clan's ancient stronghold of Alamut and drained every Assamite vampire who cannot properly answer the question, why are you all Muslim? The Assamites who dedicated themselves to the worship of Allah rather than ancient blood laws of their clan founder are now exiles from their clan and are hunted to the ends of the earth. This has prompted a major shift in the political landscape of the Camarilla, as these exiles now have successfully sought membership into the ranks of the Ivory Tower. This introduction of a formerly independent clan, along with drastic changes to the Tremere and others, has shaken up the formerly ossified structure of the Camarilla. This is fertile ground for new role-playing opportunities, as this is not simply a rehash of the status quo from previous editions of the game. Sadly, not everything in this book lives up to its moments of brilliance. The chapter on the Gehenna War in particular is bereft of any interesting ideas related to this major change in the game's lore. It reads like a forgettable piece of war journalism in some nameless part of the Middle East, and bears none of the evocative or memorable impressions that should come from such a titanic moment in Kindred history. The Gehenna War is Vampire the Masquerade at its most horrific. This is where everything has been leading to since the game was written 30 years ago. Every dark manipulation, every innocent life consumed by the Kindred for thousands of years has pushed them to this one point in history where truly inhuman evil walks the earth, and the Camarilla and the Sabbat battle at the end of time to decide the fate of all things. Additionally, this chapter caused some controversy in its initial digital release. Previously, the second half of this chapter examined a Kindred domain in Chechnya where mortal Islamic terrorists were persecuting, torturing, and murdering gay people. This was ripped directly from news headlines in the real world, and was included as a backdrop to a conversation between two Kindred characters who were discussing how the global media response to these crimes was an unintentional boon to the Camarilla, as it provided distraction from actual Kindred activities in the area. This single paragraph caused a negative backlash from supposed fans of the game that was so strong that the entire section was removed from print and multiple people lost their jobs. There was no amount of contrition that White Wolf could offer to satisfy these real-world vampires. It nearly destroyed the entire game line. The inclusion of real-world events, no matter how brutal, is and always has been a part of Vampire the Masquerade. The World of Darkness has always been just that, our world, but darker. The saddest part of this idiotic tragedy is that the whole section was boring and uninspiring from the beginning. It shouldn't have been included at all, not because it was controversial, but because this chapter should have been rewritten from the ground up, to focus on the true supernatural horror of the Gehenna War and its effects on the Camarilla. And this is not the only problem in the writing of this book. Like in the V5 core book before it, the in-world dialogue is riddled with a sense of millennial irony that threatens to strip any real sincerity from the people in this world. The Kindred characters who offer the reader their insights and advice into Camarilla society and unlife itself attempt to sell both the player and the character on the glitzy lifestyle of the rich and famous that comes along with membership in the Camarilla. To their credit, the writers never confuse this sales pitch with the reality of the Kindred condition. The characters always remind you that while fun, this lifestyle is a lie, but it's a necessary lie. The dance must continue. The music cannot stop, because when it does, everything comes to an end, and all that remains is the beast and the Inquisition. These elders speak to the reader in a way that is obviously intended to sound cool, but this comes across as sounding like something a teenager smoking a cigarette behind the bleachers would say, as opposed to a medieval bloodthirsty monster. This is a flaw that's been inherited from previous editions of the game, in that elder vampires, beings that have walked the earth for centuries, are still somehow in step with humanity. 500-year-old Ventrue elders wear fine Italian suits and lord over corporate boardrooms making high-powered decisions about the modern stock market. This portrayal is fundamentally at odds with the nature of the kindred condition. When a vampire is embraced, they no longer grow. They are perpetually stuck in a moment of time in which they were murdered. One of the greatest tragedies of vampirism is that you not only watch everyone you ever knew grow old and die, you watch the world change in ways that you cannot comprehend. You are a prisoner of both the physical state in which you died and the worldview that perished along with it. Elder vampires who survive for centuries are sociopaths stuck in time. The glamorous lifestyle of the current year is something that means absolutely nothing to them. This sales pitch for living like a modern billionaire or sex symbol is something that should only come from the recently embraced Camarilla. The elders could not make this pitch because its very nature is alien to them. The only thing they know is the blood and the power which comes with it. Neonates and Ancilla should tremble in fear of these ancient monsters, not because they represent the top of the mortal industrial food chain, but because they wield tremendous supernatural power, with a conscience that died hundreds of years ago. They view everyone as either a tool or food, and are incapable of caring about anything else. Losing your humanity doesn't make you cooler or more refined over time. It doesn't turn you into a tastemaker that has maximum agency. It means you lose your capacity to identify with humanity, because hunger and hatred are the only things that compel you. It doesn't turn you into a celebrity, it turns you into a shark. Despite these issues, Camarilla is an excellent book that will add tremendous value to your chronicle. This is truly a role-playing supplement that will feed your imagination and inspire you to create compelling player and non-player characters that are completely unique to your table. If you missed our review of the V5 core book, be sure not to miss it here. Stay tuned for more in-depth looks of Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness. The night is still young, and we have a lot left to say.